Okay, we're gonna talk about something probably that's gonna make a few of you squirm just a little bit. Today, we're gonna talk about something that doesn't get enough airtime, and it's honestly costing women, especially at the executive level, real money, real leverage, and real protection. We're talking about how to negotiate your executive offer. Not just salary, not just PTO. I mean the full picture. Because if you're walking in at a VP or above level and you're only negotiating two things, you're leaving so much on the table. I have sat on both sides of the table. I've been the one making the offers and the one receiving them. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I wish someone had told me earlier on and what now I coach women to do. So let's dive into it. And if you are going for maybe a director role, there's some pointers in here for you too. So here's the thing I want you to hear. Most women at the executive level will negotiate salary and bonus and PTO. And while those matter, they are not the whole picture. It's not even close. And here's what I've seen happen, especially with newer executives. They accept the first offer. Now listen, I get it. It feels risky. It feels uncomfortable. Some of you are sitting there right now and you're thinking, what if I push too hard? What if they pull the offer? What if I price myself out, Meredith? But here's what I need you to understand. When you accept the first offer without negotiating, you're communicating something whether you intend to or not. I personally started looking at yearly reviews and if a person negotiated their salary, and I started to see a pattern developed. And here's the thing, it was always with women. They said yes to everything, never pushing back. I mean, they just accepted whatever throughout the year was handed to them. You may be signaling that you don't fully understand your value or that you're a pushover. Yes, I know those are harsh words, but that's the truth. And here's another truth. Companies expect you to negotiate. That's part of their process. If you don't, they notice. So let's talk about how to negotiate well. First, salary. Never go in blind. You need to know one of the things to negotiate is salary. One of the most common things that happens in an executive hiring process, though, is that someone will ask you, well, what are you looking to earn? Or I love this one, what is your ideal salary? And while those sound like friendly questions, it's strategy. It gives the company an upper hand because now you set the ceiling without actually knowing what they're willing to pay. Here's what I recommend instead. Before you ever talk numbers, do your homework. Know the competitive market range for the role and the industry. And then ask them first. You can always say something like, in my research, the competitive market for this type of role is around X range. My expectations are a little higher based on my experience and what I bring to the table. What is your range for this position? Now they're anchoring, not you. And here's the other thing I want you to know. Every company has a salary band, a range for what they're willing to pay. However, almost always they're going to share the lower to mid end of the range first. They're not going to lead with the top range. So your job is to get them moving toward the top or past it. And for the right talent, there is always a little stretching that can happen. One more tip on this, in the interview process, before you ever get to the salary, I love to make this statement. Before we talk numbers, tell me what success in these key areas look like for you in the first year of this role. Now, this does a couple of things. It gives you a clear picture of what they actually need. What do they measure to be successful. And it primes them to see you as the solution. So by the time you're negotiating, they're already imagining you in the seat. Now, the next thing is bonus. Bonus is absolutely a negotiation point, and most executives know that. But here's where I want you to take this a step further. If the company says that their executive structure bonus pays out 50% of base salary, then I usually ask this question. I'll say something, if I perform to your expectations and beyond, is there room for that bonus to grow? You're asking for upside. This is signaling that you intend to outperform. And you are opening a door that most all candidates leave closed. Here's the thing, specifically for mid-year hires. If you're walking into a role in the middle of a fiscal year, you're being asked to execute on a plan you had no hand in building. That is a completely different scenario than walking in on day one of a fiscal year or right towards the end of a fiscal year. In that situation, it is completely reasonable to ask for a guaranteed bonus for the first part of your year, especially if you're delivering results. But even if you're not, because you're executing somebody else's plan. Now, this is a legit ask, and the right company will respect it. They might not do it, but they will respect it. Now, equity. I will tell you, this is the one most women don't ask about. They just accept. And I think it's because it can feel a little complicated or presumptuous, but it's neither of those things. At the executive level, you should always be asking about equity shares or a long-term incentive plan, also known as an LTIP. These are the tools that build real wealth over time, not just your paycheck, your stake in the company's future. Now, if this role doesn't come with equity by default, ask what the structure would look like to get into the vesting schedule. Ask what the path needs to be for someone in your role. This is not a question that makes you look greedy. It is a question that makes you look like an executive who cares about the company's long-term success. Now, the next one is medical and 401k. This is one that a lot of people overlook, and it can represent thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Medical. Will the company cover your full medical premium? Because if they don't, it could cost you anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 or more coming out of your pocket annually. That is real salary. So ask the question, is full medical coverage available for executives at this level? If not, then that number needs to go into your salary negotiation. 401k. Ask whether or not you can begin contributing immediately versus the waiting period. A lot of times there's a 6-month to a year delay. Ask if this could be waived for you at your position. These aren't small details. They are part of your total compensation package, and you need to see the whole picture before you sign anything. And it never hurts to ask. Next, protect yourself. This is a non-negotiable for me, and I'll tell you why. Executive roles, from the time you start talking with a company to the day you actually start, can take months, sometimes half a year. These roles are thoroughly vetted. They take time, they take energy, and often they require you to step away from other opportunities in the process. So get a severance agreement. If the company were to eliminate your role or let you go, do you have a safety net? That's what a severance agreement is for. Asking for one is not pessimistic. It is smart. I have seen severance agreements ranging from 6 months all the way to 2 years. negotiated at the point of the offer, not after the fact. At the offer stage, when you have the most to leverage. At minimum, ask for 6 months. It is a reasonable, professional ask. And it signals that you understand the risk on both sides of an executive placement. The next thing is PTO. Negotiate it strategically. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Once you step into a true executive role, PTO can feel laughable because as an executive, you are almost always on. The mental load does not clock out. That said, negotiate your time off. It matters and it signals how you value balance. Most executives come in out of the gate. They're going to land anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks of PTO. And here's how I think about using it strategically. If you have 5 weeks, take 1 week every quarter. That's 4 weeks used and 1 week banked. Or stretch it into a 2-week break, but the other 1 week's use in that same quarter rhythm. I highly recommend this because this allows you to reset once a quarter fully, and it sends a message to your team about the kind of culture you're bringing to the building. One where rest is not a weakness, it is strategy. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. Negotiating your executive offer is not confrontation. It is clarity. It is knowing your value and having the courage to put it on the table. You have worked too hard. You have built too much, and you are stepping into a role with enormous responsibility. Make sure the agreement you sign reflects that. Negotiate your salary. Negotiate your bonus with upside. Ask about equity. Get clear on your total benefits package. Protect yourself with a severance agreement and take your PTO. The woman sitting across the table from you, she would negotiate. So should you. I hope this is helpful, maybe for you, or share it with some other woman that you know who is in the middle of her offer right now. She needs to hear this. Subscribe because we are just getting started, and I can't wait to see you back here. Remember, don't leave Jesus in the parking lot before you walk into that room. Walk in rooted, knowing what you bring to the table.